watch this video, which is how to get started with fighting games and have a nice time. And I think that's a really fun, and I guess Max reacted to it. That's really cool. And I also wanted to watch some other videos as well, if possible. I don't know if I'll open up the content Discord, but maybe we'll, there's some other videos that are interesting out there that I kind of want to watch. Let's go ahead and watch this, huh?
For a long time, I'd look at fighting games and I'd say, that looks so cool, but I don't think it's for me. I had done some casual button mashing, but I never dove into the deeper mechanics. When I saw the gulf between what I was able to do and what others were doing, I told myself there was no way I'd ever be able to get there. Then, a few years ago, I decided to try for real. Was it worth it?
Okay.
Yes. I can tell you without exaggeration that fighting games have brought me more joy than anything else I've put my gaming hours into.
Okay.
It's a distinct category of enjoyment unto itself, constructed from the greatest pleasures of gaming. The childlike joy of hitting buttons and seeing cool shit happen. The slow burn tension of outmaneuvering an opponent in a strategy game. The Dark Souls satisfaction of studying a boss's patterns and
So who is Polygon, by the way? Is that like a person, or is that like, it's a news site? Interesting. Okay. Primarily wanted to know who Polygon is, if that's a YouTuber or something.
Exploiting their weaknesses.
It's a terrible gaming website?
It's meditative, it's rhythmic, it's sports, it's therapeutic, it's communal. It's the closest you're ever going to come to feeling like Rocky or your favorite shonen protagonist. It's made me happier.
There's a type of camaraderie that comes into fighting games that I really enjoy, and I don't think I can get the same amount of joy playing any other game. Because a lot of games are like team-based, and most of them are, well, like console games, obviously. And I think it's the same camaraderie you get when you go to locals for card games or for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or stuff like that, right? Where you go and it's like a 1v1 setting and you get to converse with a bunch of people that have a similar interest. I really like that camaraderie when it comes to fighting games. It could also be like very confrontational as well, which it can be intimidating, but I feel like that's like a very rare occasion these days. And the type of feeling you get from bullshitting and talking smack with your friends is like something that I have enjoyed for so long.
And it's made my brain feel better. It is absolutely worth it. But it takes a lot of work, and looking at that from the outside can be overwhelming and intimidating. This guide is for people who have been studying that water and thinking about jumping in. Hopefully.
Polygon is the type of site to call you a misogynist for playing Dead or Alive. Guess their core values are in alignments, don't you think? Seems like they exercise the values of the core values of the FGC. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Chat, I know that a lot of you probably aren't from the FGC or know about that, but press 1 if you know about core values, the meme of core values, and press 2 if you don't. Even if there's a couple of 2s, I will explain it. Blanca doesn't know. Okay, the majority of you know what the meme of core values, but there are some of you that don't. And that's who I want to talk about. All right. All right. It's an old meme, but it's not. It's a timeless classic. All right. Hold on. I got to look this up now. I got to explain it because I want every single one of my community to know what I mean when I say core values. 2019, and we were in Japan. Evolution Japan. Primarily, the main thing was, it was the first year that Evo Japan was being celebrated, and they decided to invite a couple of gravure idols. And they decided to be gravure. If you don't know what a gravure idol is, think of an idol, but a little bit more lewd, softcore type of star. Okay. They were showcasing the new game that was coming out called Dead or Alive 6. Yes, the booby game with jiggle physics. Yes, that game. And they were showing off features of this new fighting game. Live on stream and on stage. So, with that being the case, the runner of Evolution, which is currently completely out of the loop because he was outed as a absolute creep, decided to shut the stream down and make an announcement. The Dead or Alive ad that aired on our stream does not reflect the core values of EVO or FGC. We ended the stream temporarily to protect the integrity of our brand. We sincerely apologize to our fans. And thus, this so-called core values of the FGC became a staple meme within the community. Yep. Core values. But anyways, that's what I mean when I say core values. Now you're in the know.
You can use this video
back to
as
the video.
a gentle, supportive push into the pool. Here's my 10-step guide for getting into fighting games without losing your mind.
Step 1. Decide you want to do it.
Okay.
This one's kind of obvious, but it's also essential. Your desire to get into fighting games is going to be the thing that fuels you through the hard stuff.
Yeah.
If you're fighting game curious, but you're not sure if you're ready to take the dive, there is some other stuff you can do to gradually expose yourself. Watch some matches.
Activates reversal. He wasn't looking.
It's really exciting. Top players just going nuts.
Anyways.
Here are some of my favorites. Goichi versus Sonic Fox at EVO 2018 rules.
Everyone references this match. Oh, and the Goichi versus Leffen match that people constantly reference a lot. Yeah, these matches are some of the best matches in FGC history.
It's like an unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
Playing them right now.
Dragon Ball Fighters, baby.
Goichi's defense is like an iron wall, but Sonic Fox's offense is just relentless.
Yep.
You know that Sonic Fox is going to do some work as soon as they get an opening, so every mix-up is just so tense.
Oh, Peckles versus Lil Majin. Remember this?
Lil Majin's whole EVO 2018 run was also
his run.
Majin
when
was
Lil
an American
Majin
player
went through
in a
a
game
crazy
that was
run.
historically dominated by
Look at
Korean
that
and
smile.
Japanese players.
Look at that
So
smile.
it's a combination of an underdog with the home field advantage. Plus, he's playing a super fun character with big splashy moves.
Yep.
But it's not just about what the
Dude,
players
this run
are
was
doing.
insane.
Hearing the audience and commentators get excited and pop off for the big moments will help you figure out what's important and what to pay attention to.
And he's so scared of getting hit because he's got that V-trigger. No, it's going to hit here into the critical arc. Textbook.
If you're in the mood to chill and watch some super thoughtful, accessible video essays about the underlying mechanics and philosophies of fighting games, pop on Gerald Lee, aka Core A Gaming.
Yep.
My personal favorite is...
Everybody references Core A Gaming, Leon Massey, Stumblebee. There's a whole bunch of different videos, video essays on fighting games. It's really interesting.
Why button mashing doesn't work. Also, follow some fighting game people on Twitter and Twitch and stuff.
Hey,
There's a lot of
Ramola.
people doing really
Shout out.
interesting streams and posting funny clips that are going to make you want to play.
Whose idea was it to make his pubes his legs?
We hear the man's trying to deck you with the refrigerator. You thought this, but he unplugged that shit off the wall. Let's get money.
There will be a lot of in-jokes and terminology you don't understand, but you'll pick it up
Pepsi
soon enough
Man
through
mod.
context clues. And if you need a helping hand, check out the infill.net fighting game glossary. They have explanations.
Actually, this glossary is currently implemented into my chat. If you do ! glossary and put in any single fighting game term, it'll link you to that term. It's great. I had that since this thing came out. It's awesome.
Of all the jargon.
Step 2. Pick a game.
Pick a game.
A frequently asked question among the fighting game curious is, what's a good fighting game for a new player? And the definitive answer is literally whichever game you're interested.
That's my answer too. I tell this all the time to people. If what's a game for beginners, there is no game for beginners. I mean, if you really want to go into the technicalities of it, technically speaking, yes, there is fighting games that are more catered to beginners, but that's not what you should be. If you're looking at that from that angle, you're not going to have a great time with a game. What you should be doing is you should be looking for a game that looks cool to you. That's it. That's it. If it looks cool because of a character, because of gameplay, that's it. That's the game that you play.
I'm so serious about this. You need to follow your heart. Look at gameplay trailers, watch some big matches. Whichever game makes you feel the spark is the one that you should chase. That spark will be what fuels you when things get hard. I love martial arts cinema and pro wrestling, so for me, the game that grabbed my attention was Tekken.
Yeah,
the pace of animation is a bit slower than the stuff in 2D fighters like Street Fighter or Guilty Gear.
Yep.
So it was kind of like watching a choreographed fight scene from the movies and wrestling I love. Before I understood mid-low mix-ups and frame data, I understood that King did a sick running powerbomb, and I loved to see it.
Yep, exactly.
You gotta find your axe.
For me, I don't think I've ever answered this question and or have given my thoughts on what the fighting game was for me. I think the biggest thing for me was it first transition. Okay, so my beginnings were my cousin came over from college, graduated college. He came home. He brought Street Fighter 4 and a PS3. We all played, and he kicked all my ass and my little cousin's ass. And he was my bigger cousin. He graduated college, and I was a wee lad. And one day I got an Xbox 360, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for games to get on this. I saw Street Fighter 4. I'm like, okay, great. So I've got Street Fighter 4. I started playing, and then I was going to trials mode, and I'm like, there's no way in hell that this trials mode is possible. Let me go to YouTube. And I went to YouTube and I started looking at trials mode videos, and I'm like, yeah, that is possible. And from there, I found other tournaments. And from there, I also found people like Darkside Phil and also Excellent Adventures or Cross Counter. And that's how I started down. And there was one character that really piqued my interest, and it was Honda, which I already kind of explained earlier in the stream. That Honda was a character that had 100 hand slaps, and 100 hand slaps was basically the move that I wanted to do every single time when I played Honda. And then when I did that, I couldn't do it. I got an arcade stick that could do it very easily for me. And then after that, I started playing with other characters to see which one was easier for me to play. Then I found Ranked, and the rest was history. So for me, it was a really cool character with a really cool move and an objective to beat my cousin's ass.
Access point. You like anime? You like nasty gore? You like ponies? Get it. But while you're following your heart, you do need to pay attention to one annoying wrinkle. Because of the old COVID, you're mostly going to be playing online. And not all games have great net play.
Yeah,
In
this is a
games that
problem
use
that we're
delay-based
facing in
netcode,
today's day
response
and
times
age
can be
of
sluggish.
fighting games.
The good news is that if you're new, you probably won't know what you're missing out on until you taste that crisp offline stuff. If you know that you're mostly going to be playing online, consider choosing a game with rollback netcode.
Yeah.
Rollback is an ingenious net play solution that pretty much eliminates the sluggishness inherent to online fighting games.
Yeah.
If you want a cool explainer on how it works, check out this video by Core A Gaming.
Yeah.
Here are some games with pretty good netcode. If you're not sure if...
Wait, what? What is it? I was going to say Dragon Ball FighterZ does not have netcode, but it's coming soon, yeah. Yeah, but these games do have netcode, rollback netcode. It's great.
If you're not sure if a game has rollback, just Google it, and you'll either find a bunch of blog posts like
find any
Punch
FGC
Kicker
guy,
has
they'll tell you.
rollback, or a bunch of Reddit threads like, how come Punch Kicker doesn't have rollback?
Step 3, gearing up.
Gearing up, what does that mean?
Another common question is, what do I need to start playing fighting games? And the good news is, if you play other types of games, you're good to go. You need a console or a PC and a controller, and that's it.
That's obvious.
Also, a good internet connection. More on that later. You might think you need a big fancy fight stick, but
not just a good internet connection. You need a wired internet connection. No wireless. Fuck that. Do not be a wireless bitch. Fighting games, we don't do that around here. We discriminate towards Wi-Fi players. And if that's the only thing you do, you have, go get yourself a wire. Go get yourself something to get yourself a more stable connection than wireless. Wireless is not good.
There's really no direct correlation between performance and equipment. Lots of the best players in the world grew up using readily available console controllers and still absolutely kill with them.
Yep.
And the skills and knowledge you develop using one type of controller are totally transferable. There's just a short recalibration period where you need to develop some new muscle memory. That said, if you have the resources and the inclination, fight sticks can be a lot of fun. They're tactile and hefty, and they make good noises.
Yep.
So let's talk about them.
I play on an arcade stick. I've said this many times before, but I play on an arcade stick specifically because I like the feel of an arcade stick in my hands, and it makes me feel like I'm in the arcades. And just a little bit of an added bonus, if I ever do go to a round one or an arcade anywhere, I can basically still be at home. Whereas if I were a pad player or a hitbox player, I wouldn't be able to really play on an arcade that much. But that was my excuse back then. But now arcades are kind of dying. So that really isn't that. That's why it's not a benefit. It's more of a bonus.
Most of the sticks you'll find are ball top square gate, meaning the joystick moves around in a square frame. It makes it easy to lock in important fighting game positions like down back. You can just physically feel it. Another less common configuration is bat top K lever. These ones don't have a gate and they use a rubber grommet to return to the neutral.
Yeah, so if you don't know, arcade sticks have different gates that is inside of the arcade stick or the joystick. There is 3 very popular ones. There is the square gate, which is the default square. There is octagonal gate, which is 8 sides instead of 4. So it's a lot better to do motions and stuff like that. It's a lot more sensitive. Not a lot of people use it, but if that's more comfortable for you, people would tend to customize it. And then there is the circle gate, and aka the no gate, which is that right there. And Tekken players really like no gates because no gates can actually return to neutral much easier. And that is a huge benefit for Tekken because there's Korean backdashes, which is a form of movement that you have to do a backdash, crouch, return to neutral, and then backdash again. And then you can do a continuous backdash. So bat tops with no gates can do that. Just to let you know.
Neutral position. The result is that they're a bit spongier, and you got to be more precise with your inputs.
Itoki.
Unless you're planning to go all in on Tekken,
that's one of the more popular Korean.
I'd steer clear for now.
It's made by
finally,
player
hitbox style controllers replace the joystick with more arcade buttons. They take some getting used to, but they allow for extremely precise inputs.
And then there's the hitboxes right there.
But maybe the biggest benefit is that they're pretty damn ergonomic. Cranking on a fight stick can stress out your shoulders and fingers.
Yep.
My elderly thumbs don't have what it takes to mash on a D-pad anymore.
Yep.
A hitbox is comfy, and it lets you nail your inputs without straining.
Yep.
Most controllers work with PC and one type of console. If you ever plan on attending a local event, I'd suggest going for a controller that will work with the PS4.
PlayStation. No one does.
That's what they're going to be using there. Tuning your control setup is fun, and it can become a hobby of its own. But the biggest message I want to give you is do not gear gate yourself. Don't put an artificial boundary between you and the thing you want to do.
That's
You're
right.
just denying yourself the pleasure of playing and getting better. But let's talk about a real boundary.
Absolutely. If you're gonna play a fighting game, don't put it off just because you don't have the newest and greatest arcade stick. Just playing on a pad is just fine, or a keyboard. Keyboard's fine too.
Step 4. Pipe check.
What the hell is pipe check?
If your connection to your opponent is not steady, you're simply not going to have a nice time playing with each other.
Yeah. Oh, this
You'll
connection
be more
stuff.
likely
Yeah.
to biff your execution.
Yeah, look at that.
More importantly,
Oh boy,
it'll
look
just
at
be
that.
sluggish and
Wonderful
jittery.
connection.
So most of the online fighting game community
Such a
adhere
great
religiously to the Ethernet cable because direct wiring takes a big failure point out of the networking pipeline. The anti-Wi-Fi sentiment online is severe enough that it will affect your experience. Lots of games have Wi-Fi.
So Tekken, you see that? That's a Wi-Fi indicator. Don't you be getting caught playing on Wi-Fi because that's what's gonna show up, and you're gonna have a bad time.
Indicators, and opponents are less likely to accept a match with you if they're worried that you'll have a dodgy connection. That means you should get wired up. When I had roommates, I would run cable down my hallway when I was playing and then coil it up when I was done, so our common spaces weren't a constant tripping hazard.
Yeah.
This might involve some...
Oh, you can also get the, what's it called? I think it was, I don't remember what it's called. It's basically a device where it comes in, the package is a not power extender. It's something like that. Power line adapter. I think it's a power line adapter. I don't remember. But it's basically, it comes with 2 devices. One connects to your wall, and then you connect that from the device that goes to the wall. You get an Ethernet cable, and then you run it to where your wire normally would be. And then you get on the other side where there comes in 2 devices. One device goes where your modem is, and then the other device goes where your computer is, and you just basically plug that in, put an Ethernet cable to your computer, and then you get a hard line connection. Yeah, power line adapter. That's what it's called. Yep. That's what I thought. When am I playing Asura's Wrath? My next game that I'm playing is Hollow Knight, but Asura's Wrath will be played as soon as I get an Xbox. Anyways, yeah, just get that instead. Or just get a 100-foot like Ethernet cable. That's true as well.
Some negotiation and compromise, but it's absolutely worth it.
Step 5. Choose your fighter.
Of course.
So, who are some good characters for new fighting game players? The answer, regardless of the game, is whoever you think looks cool. Once again, your enthusiasm is going to be the emotional well from which you draw the motivation to grind out combos and do the difficult work of learning. And you don't always have to pick the Ryu of the game to learn the fundamentals. For example, when I started Tekken 7, I played King, because I liked that he was a huge kitty cat man who did all my favorite wrestling moves.
Kitty cat man.
He's a great character, but he also has a big,
Kitty
bloated
cat man.
moveset that he's picked up over decades of Tekken games.
Look
He's
at
got
that.
some
Look at all those
complicated
moves.
inputs, and
All
as a
them
grappler,
grabs,
he
all them
approaches
chains-
combat differently from
chains.
most of the roster. But I liked
them
him.
buttons.
I liked the way his moves looked. I liked his vibe. So I had the
By the way, just because that the move list is that long, it doesn't mean you need to know every single move to do well. You only need maximum 10 moves that you need to remember, maybe even 5 to 10 moves that you need to remember that King players usually do, that will get you a good footing as to how to play the character. You only need like 5 to 10 of those moves. And that's in regarding to every single character in Tekken. I think there's a guide out there. Where it shows the 10 most used moves per character. It'll tell you, it's like, okay, this move is used a lot. This is the properties. This is why. And then the next move, and then it goes into the top 10 moves every character uses. And I think that's one of the most helpful guides. I don't remember where it is. I lost it a long time ago, but it's a really good document and a really good guide. But yeah, when it comes to the moves like that, you don't need to be super intimidated by the size of it. Also, I love the fact that he picked a character based on his likes and not necessarily the practicality and how many dubs this character will get you. You can do that. Some people do think that way, and that's fine. Nice. But the best way is to be like, all right, I like this character. This character's sick. He does freaking wrestling moves. He's has a cat mask, and he does things that make me feel real good when I hit him.
motivation to put in the work.
Bolas Tristes, what's up, dude?
Later,
18
when
inches,
I picked
buddy.
up Guilty Gear Strive, I went with Soul Bad Guy, because he's kind of the Ryu of that game, and he was really strong at the time. I thought that having a high-tier character who exemplified the fundamentals of that series would help me learn. So I tried for a while, and then I fell off, and told myself maybe Guilty Gear wasn't for me. A few months later, I came back and I tried the character who I really wanted to play all along,
May?
and it all clicked. I loved looking at my little guy.
Potemkin. Okay, that's cool.
Loved his gigantic hands and his booty drop.
Yep.
And I love busting.
There you go.
So I was motivated to play and learn. Don't
There you go.
let tier lists or meta discussions dissuade you early on. Pick who you think looks cool. I literally cannot say this enough.
He's spitting facts, chat. He's spitting facts right now.
Step 6. Learn how to play.
All right.
Once you've selected your little guy, hop into training mode and start hitting buttons. See what they do. See how it feels.
Yep.
Some games like Guilty Gear Strive and Mortal Kombat have decent tutorials that explain fighting game fundamentals and include challenges to test your knowledge. Any fighting game worth playing will also have a full command list in the start menu. If you like what you're feeling, hop onto YouTube and search for some character guides.
Depends on the game, but yeah, 100%. Tekken's one of them. Dragon Ball is one of them. Street Fighter is definitely one of them. There's a shit ton of people. The only thing is that you have to go through a whole bunch of different types of guides, because there's guides that can be quick, easy to the point, and there's some guides that are just like super detailed, super long, and they'll be filled with information.
This is a really cool thing about fighting games. They are complicated. There are hurdles to overcome.
Very
but that
complex.
complexity is also what makes them so satisfying and fun to play. And people want other people to share in that fun, so they'll put in hours and hours and hours of work to make wonderful guides.
Tekken is a huge
Like
community.
and subscribe. Character guides are great. Looking at your move list in a game is helpful, but it doesn't instruct you on the overall strategy for that character. A good guide will highlight the most important tools your character has and how to use those tools to win. When you watch a guide, don't expect
Absolutely.
to internalize everything all at once. That's a ton of information, and it's just not realistic. I've watched the same guides over and over again over the course of weeks, months, and even years. Every time I rewatch, I'll notice the things that I've learned and incorporated into my play, and I'll make note of the things that I still need to do. In terms of written resources, that's going to depend on the game you're playing. Guilty Gear
Absolutely.
and other ArcSys games have comprehensive guides on dustloop.com.
God bless Dustloop. Dustloop is 100% a great resource to get into.
A lot of Tekken info is in Google spreadsheets that get passed around on Reddit. Figuring out where your game lives online is just a matter of Googling. As you watch and read, hop into training mode and work on a few bread and butter combos. Don't worry about optimizing yet. You need to develop your muscle memory to the point where you can hit your combos at all. A few days after I picked up Tekken, I got on Twitter and posted a video of me hitting King's most basic, unoptimized combo. I did it, I might have said, and a passing commenter might have asked, did what? This will be a pattern that repeats over your time.
Yo, fighting game players are built different, bro. They're built different, dude. What'd you do? You didn't do shit. You did. Yeah. Did what?
In fighting games. You're going to put a lot of effort into mastering things that to outsiders appear inconsequential and to experts insignificant. But that doesn't mean it's not an accomplishment.
The thing is, Twitter is actually a really good fighting game tool because there's a lot of different tech that isn't available anywhere else but on Twitter. Like newly developed tech or players that only play that specific character or this specific game, and that's the only way to be able to get information on it. Of course, with some games, you don't have to get on Twitter. Like, for example, Street Fighter, Tekken, those games, you don't need to get on Twitter. You just go to YouTube. But Twitter's especially really good with fighting games. Once a game is brand new, everybody's playing it. Everybody wants to be the next innovator of a specific piece of tech for a character or for whatever the case may be. When a game first comes out, fighting games are very fun, or I'm sorry, Twitter's very fun when a fighting game first comes out. That's what I mean to say.
Good job. But nailing combos only accounts for a tiny, tiny percentage of what goes into playing a match. And the only way to start figuring that out is to fight.
Step 7. Fight a human.
Fight a human.
Sitting here on this screen for the first time can be scary. I mean, maybe not for you.
This is where the time part comes in. This is where you're going to be doing a lot of losing and a lot of learning. This is the most beneficial part of you being a fighting game player. Because, yeah, playing the game or how to play the game, that's fine. This is the part where it gets interesting. This is where fighting games, a lot of people fall off right here.
Maybe you're some sort of real fucking cool guy. But for me, not knowing what would happen when I hit that matchmake button was nerve-wracking. Another real human being is about to see you fumble around with your buttons and drop your combos and forget to block in real time. But it's okay. It'll be fine. As intimidating as that human-to-human connection is, it's also absolutely core to the joy of fighting games. Now, I'm not saying there's no value to fighting the CPU. It is a good way to keep learning your own character's moveset and develop muscle memory. It can also help you familiarize yourself with the capabilities of other characters. You can learn that Sagat has this big kick and this uppercut and, whoa, 2 different fireballs.
Yeah, so there's 2 big benefits to fighting against a CPU. And I think he named them right there. Definitely 100%. If you want to learn a specific character you've never seen before, just put the CPU on its hardest, give it, and just fight against the CPU. You'll see exactly what they do and what kind of shit that happens. That's only for trying to see, like, okay, what does this character do, right? And this can work with a character you're fighting against or your own character. It can be like, I've never played this character before, put the CPU on, and then go. I mean, obviously, there's better ways to learn about a specific character, like going on YouTube, going to Twitch, seeing if anybody's playing that games, et cetera, right? But that is a way to do it. The other thing would be to, like you said, I think muscle memory is one of the most important things about fighting games. Muscle memory is huge because you could be practicing a combo and you hit it 2-3 times. You're like, I'm very confident, but it doesn't matter how confident you are. If you don't have the muscle memory or the experience of you hitting that combo, like literally with your eyes closed, you're going to be dropping it under pressure. Choking is huge in fighting games. You choke easy. Under pressure, that's the biggest source of failure for a lot of people is you know how to do something, you know how to do it, you learned. Doing it under pressure is a different story altogether. That's it. And the best players are usually the ones that can keep those nerves in check. Yeah, fighting a CPU will be able to build up that muscle memory and that experience of doing a combo under pressure, out of the blue. On command, you can do this combo, no problem. That's usually the benefits of fighting a CPU. But that's it. Other than that, conditioning, like you can get to miss a lot of things by playing a computer rather than a human. For example, conditioning, the whole entire 1v1 aspect of getting in each other's heads and saying, okay, you're going to do this. And then they do it. And then you punish accordingly because you had the right read or the right prediction. And vice versa, too. You could predict something, it doesn't happen, and then adapt on the fly with that, too. You get to miss all that stuff if you play against a CPU. You can only get that kind of experience and that kind of thrill from fighting against a human.
But once you've mentally logged that stuff, there's not much more it can do to prepare you for fighting a real person. Yep. Despite advances in fighting game AI, the CPU won't string those moves together like a human opponent.
Yep.
And fighting a robot is just not as fun.
Yep.
So take a deep breath, set your expectations low, and hit that matchmaking button. Or one of those matchmaking buttons. Most fighting games are going to have a couple of options, so let's go over those.
Yeah.
Ranked matchmaking tracks your performance and skill using a bunch of different metrics, then attempts to match you against opponents of the same skill level. Usually there's some sort of meta progression here, as you earn new titles or badges, or in the case of Strive, literally move towards the top of a tower.
I hate that.
The obvious pro here is that as a new player, you should be paired up with other new players, so you'll actually have a chance of winning.
I feel like the floor system could be so much better. I think that idea of sealing off specific ranked players into a specific floor and not have anybody higher than that floor go to that place where most lower ranked players are is a great idea. But I think executing that idea wasn't the greatest. You guys know how I feel about Guilty Gear ranked.
The con is that even when you're fighting for fake online points, that sense that you're being evaluated changes everything. Getting bumped down a level after a losing streak can be really demoralizing. It also changes the behavior of your opponents.
Still haven't transcended humanity, huh? You lack discipline.
Separating your self-worth from your performance
silly
can
as
be tough,
what the hell?
And it makes some people act really silly.
Ending,
it can cause people to get obsessive about their win rates. They might duck you in matchmaking if you play a character that they have a hard time against. They might bail out of a set the moment they lose. They might send you nasty messages. Quick tip on this if you're worried about getting shit from toxic players, lock down your message settings ahead of time. Now I know I just listed a lot of cons that make rank.
Dude, I don't know about that, bro. Some of the best parts about fighting games, I miss the Xbox 360 and the PS3 era of fighting games, bro, because like I used to get messages left and right and it was so good. Dude, salty people that want me to die, people that wish death upon my family, people that think I'm a bitch, calling me all sorts of gamer words. I'm like, man, I was responsible for that. I thought that was the dopest thing ever. But PS4 and Xbox One era fighting games and PC games in particular don't have that option. And there's some and global chats don't matter. Like, you know, like in BB Tag, BBCF, like they have global chats, but there's something about the personalized message that was just, it was next level, dude. It was so good. So I miss those days.
Sound like shit, but it's actually fine. The other option is unranked. Here, the matchmaking will just stick you with another player. Any other player. Or you'll meet up in some sort of virtual arcade setting. Unlike ranked play, there's no digital clout on the line, so people are much more likely to play long sets. That's a good thing. In fighting games,
I like that. I like that digital clout. That's why casual matches and lobbies are very important, because a lot of people like to play just to try out certain characters that they never played before, and or they're just learning. And they can be a lot more relaxed rather than in ranked. Every battle, every match is like a stress-inducing, life-changing event.
Highest level of play, there's always an adjustment period between opponents. Pro players have the knowledge and experience to tune up quickly, but for beginners it takes longer. Let's say your opponent is using a technique that keeps blowing you up. You might not have time to run to a website and look up the frame data, but in a long set, you do have more opportunities to rummage through your toolkit and try to find something that'll solve your problem.
Yeah.
And if you find a solution, you have the chance to test it out repeatedly and start burning it into your muscle memory. The most obvious downside to unranked matchmaking is that you might get paired up with somebody who's way, way better than you.
Oh yeah.
And that's not
Happens
really
all
a
the time.
downside in my opinion. Losing
You get a shark. You know, you're a little fish in the pond, and all of a sudden an apex predator shows up in your pond. All right? There's two types of people in this world, chat. There's people that like to humiliate others, and people that like to encourage others. Those apex predators live to humiliate others. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Those apex predators are gonna come in and they smell blood. They're gonna rip you a new one. That's just the way it is, man. That's one of the things you got to do in order to be able to get better.
20 matches to a very experienced player is a great way to learn. You learn which of your reliable strategies aren't really viable against better players.
Yeah.
And you get to see the strength of good fundamentals. And you'll see something that you are very unlikely to see in the beginner ranks. The power of not pressing buttons. When I started playing unranked Tekken, I would fight opponents who felt like absolute brick walls. They would just block, punish, and whiff.
We're getting into the power of defense, which is a foreign concept to people that are in that start in the beginning, because they think that fighting games are only just about button mashing, when that's only 25% of a fighting game. There's another 25% that's just you letting the other person kill themselves. Just basically like going in, hitting you over and over, but you're just blocking. You're there standing your ground. And that's how it is.
Every loss was the result of me overextending and using unsafe options.
Yep.
So I tried to emulate their style, and gradually I got better. I still love hitting buttons though.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah.
both ranked and unranked are
There's a time and place.
Happy man.
Huckleberry Finn. Hey, thanks, Anonymous, for gifting that sub, buddy.
valuable. If you stop having fun with one, try the other for a bit. And on the topic of having fun,
Stepping. Struggle.
The struggle.
You lose.
Isn't it past your bedtime?
Damn,
at
he's
the end
really
of a fighting
tackling
game
everything,
match,
huh? It's pretty
you
good.
Win
Good video.
or you lose. There's no teammates to blame for not pulling their weight. There's no XP meter sliding up to reward you for
This
your
footage is
participation.
great.
You will, beyond a
The stock footage was great, dude. Everyone is like just trying to reflect on their own actions.
shadow of a doubt, lose a lot. Self-doubt and frustration can feel overwhelming when you're in the thick of it, but it is all a part of the process of getting better.
Rolling death cradle.
So here are a few tips for getting through it. Separate your self-worth from your performance. Okay, I know this is kind of like saying stop being mentally ill, but it still needs to be said. You are not your win-loss ratio. Getting demoted doesn't mean you suck as a person, even if it feels that way. And if you start feeling that way, it's time to take a damn break. Taking a break doesn't just let you cool off, it makes you better. When your hands are off the joystick and you're doing something else, your brain keeps gently churning on those situations.
No, he's spinning facts right now. He's absolutely spinning. Just because, you know, like when it comes to fighting games, it's like I keep referring back to guitar, but it's true, man. Like every time you pick up the guitar and you hit a note and it doesn't sound good, that's an L, bro. That's an L, brother. You just took a big fat L. You thought you could put your fingers in a way that could make beautiful music. It didn't make beautiful music. It made me want to throw myself out the window. All right. But that's something that you have to experience every single time you pick up the guitar, because now you know what it's like to not do it correctly. AKA, whenever you go in a fighting game and you lose, you know what it's like to not win, which is something that's very, very valuable when it comes to improving in anything, is to experience the opposite of what you strive for. It's like, what happens if you don't practice? What happens if you lose? What happens if this and that? Then that's when you get that treasure trove of knowledge, and you get to see like, okay, I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should fix how I do this. Maybe I should be more knowledgeable about the character. Maybe I should. You start to analyze a little bit more, and then you put that into your repertoire, and that'll eventually grow you as a fighting game player, which is great. Losing is an incredibly crucial part of fighting games, or just anything, even like sports.
Looking for the...
Didn't I rage quit at one point? Dude, listen, rage, emotions, they get the better of us a lot. But then again, I'm a content creator. I do that shit for clout. Just letting you know, I do it for content, bro. I do it for content.
Solutions that you couldn't find in the heat of the moment. Your body is rewiring neuron pathways to make your execution smoother and better. Playing fighting games feels a bit more like a traditional skill-based hobby like playing guitar. There's a base level of effort and self-direction you need to get enjoyment out of it. That means that you won't always have the mental energy to do it. And that's okay, don't force it. A break from fighting games can be a couple hours or a couple months. The games will still be there when you get back, and your body will remember what to do.
True.
Watch replays. God, this one is so hard.
This is the biggest one that I think when I plateaued in fighting games, to be able to break that plateau, this was one of the biggest things about it, is the same way I look at everybody else's replays objectively, I would like to look at my own objectively and then learn from that.
It's like hearing your voice in a recording or seeing yourself on video. Do I really do that? You do, but it's so valuable and you can't neglect it. Most fighting games keep a log of your most recent matches with the ability to play them back. They do. You should take advantage of that. Seeing yourself play can help you recognize habits that you want to correct. It can also help you appreciate what you do well and what you want to do more of. And when you're feeling really brave, take the next step. Show your gameplay to someone else and ask them for tips. But before you can do that, first you need...
Step 9. Community and competition.
Community and competition.
This can be one of the greatest joys of fighting games. The fighting game community is the name of the collective, but it's not monolithic. There are hundreds or thousands of Discord communities out there for fighting games. Some are game-specific, some are character-specific, some are geared towards certain demographics and skill levels. Do some Googling and ask around on Twitter until you...
I'm not gonna lie, there's some Discord servers I've been a part of that are fucking weird. Like, I go there for a specific character, and all they do is just share fan art and loot art of each other, of that specific character. That's it. And I'm like, where are the guides? where are the guides? I don't want to be horny over this character. I want to learn about him.
You find a place that feels good for you.
The jury one? No, it's not the jury one.
Whether it's folks you meet through these communities or your own network of friends, one. Playing fighting games against someone you know is so
Jesus.
good. For me, knowing who's on the other side of the connection completely obliterates the frustration and antagonism that I can feel playing against random online opponents. Partially because it's just more humanizing when you know that person, but also because you can ask questions and chat. If you're in a good community, your opponent isn't going to keep any secrets. Because people who have decided that they want to get good at fighting games have signed an unspoken contract of mutual self-improvement. Iron sharpens iron. Fighting stronger opponents makes you stronger.
Correct.
So a good sparring partner will explain exactly how and why they're winning.
But I wouldn't fight against strong opponents every time, because you have to also learn how it feels to win against somebody your own level and a person of lower level. It's equally as beneficial as fighting against a strong opponent. You need a balance of everything, because if you are raised in a tank full of sharks, you won't know what anything is other than a shark, and that might sound good on paper, but in reality it's not, because you have to really expand your knowledge on what's out there. And that includes the highest level, the mid-range level, and the lower level. You need all sorts of variety.
Till it's time to compete.
Very well then. Far be it from me to turn down a challenge. And from a fellow pugilist.
God,
through your community or just by being online, you might come across some online tournaments, and you should sign up for them.
They're fun.
Tournaments are really cool. They offer you the chance to do a lot of things that you won't get in your casual play. First of all, it's one of the few times you and your buddies will step into that magic circle of competition, mutually and temporarily agreeing to set aside the helpful hints and just go.
That's why casual, damn, dude. He's about to get rammed right now. But, no, that's why I like casual tournament, local tournaments. It's fun, dude. I remember winning a couple of my casual local tournaments, and I'm like, I know I'm not super great, but it feels really good to be at that moment in time with the amount of people that were there and the quality of players that we had there. I was the best in that situation. Obviously, that could change the next week, and that could change very quickly. But at that's why it feels good to strive to like win any kind of tournament is fun.
Going all out, seeing who will win. If you're used to mostly playing friendlies, it's fun to try out a different vibe. The other useful thing is that it's fucking scary. At first. The first few times I did online tournaments, I literally got shaky and sweaty. I forgot my combos and I mashed buttons. But each time I did it, it got easier. And once you've played under pressure, you'll be better in casual settings. Random matchmaking doesn't get my heart rate up like it used to. Finally, a lot of tournaments are streamed on Twitch, which means you might get a chance to rewatch the VOD and hear someone commentate your match. Like a lot of parts of the fighting game process, this can make you feel vulnerable, but a good commentator will put into clear terms what's going on, and that can be an incredible learning tool.
They've proven they're pretty good at fighting out of the corner. Already, Doublemint now back thrown into the corner. Again, huge life deficit, but the other way around. Gets hit by the stomps. No, but drops it at the target combo.
No, 100%. The when it comes to tournaments and stuff like that. God, dude, online tournaments are so much easier than regular tournaments. Regular, like in-person tournaments are exhausting. Exhausting, chat. Like, holy shit. Compared to online tournaments, oh my lord, man. It is night and day. It is exhausting. I have absolutely big respect for like players that play offline tournaments because like, especially ones that do well, because that shit is exhausting compared to, and online tournaments are exhausting as well, but at least you're in the comfort of your own home rather than in a big setting where there's lots of people and you're expecting to do well in front of all of them and all that good jazz. You get the same feeling when playing on stream, yeah. So, okay, there is no end. No, never. You're always constantly improving.
No end.
You will never reach your prime.
One of the many wonderful and intimidating things about fighting games is that there's no prescribed end goal for your participation. There's no final boss or end game treadmill.
Nope.
Even the best player in the world is only the best until someone surpasses them. No matter where you are in your journey, in some sense, you're still at the beginning. That means you won't always know the next step forward, but it also means you're never falling behind. And as long as you're on that path, learning and having fun, you're doing it right.
Bridge is so sick. God damn. You see the moves? Yep, pretty much. That's a great video. Great video. Like very good video. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why fighting games is never about the destination. It's about the experience and the journey and the friends you make along the way. Very good video. Excellent video. Very, very good.